Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Foundation First Fitness Show with Bobak Owen. Today we are going to talk about how to build a home gym on a budget. So there's a couple of really good price points that we're going to want to hit, and that's going to really help guide us in which direction we want to head in. Now, building a home gym doesn't have to be very stressful. You don't need a tremendous amount of space or equipment. You just need to get the right pieces of equipment that are going to give you the most versatility. When we're trying to build a home gym, especially when it's on a budget, the most important factor we want to keep in mind is return on investment, so ROI. Everything has to be extremely ROI positive. If it isn't, we're basically going to be throwing our money right out the window, and we won't be able to get as much done with it, and that piece of equipment won't last us that long. So I think there's some fundamental pieces, some foundation pieces that we need to have that are going to help us kind of get things started and get us on the right path. So without any more discussion, let's jump right into it. So the first piece of equipment, for those of you who are watching on YouTube, you guys can see it. For those who are listening on the podcast, you're going to want to head over to my YouTube channel if you want to see what these look like, but I will be very descriptive in this so you guys can almost figure it out just by listening to what I'm saying. So the first piece of equipment is a foam roller. Now, a foam roller is used for soft tissue work, tissue health, building tissue quality. So we're looking at breaking apart scar tissue by rolling this along the muscles while we're lying on top of it, and essentially breaking apart scar tissue, breaking apart any adherences we have on our muscles, and trying to get our body to move better and get that tissue to move better. Now, this is a vital piece of equipment for anyone, regardless of your experience level, whether you're even trying to go to the gym at all. This is something you're going to want to have with you at all times because it's going to be the piece of equipment that's going to provide the most value. I think that tissue quality is one of the most underrated and under-discussed things in the fitness and industry world, and I think this is probably one of the most vital pieces of equipment that I have in my gym. All my guys use it. Every one of my clients use it, regardless of who they are, their experience level, what they do. I get every single person I have in on this, so it's really great to have. Now, the piece of equipment itself is essentially the one I have with me is a hollow tube. You can get these things, they're completely filled. They don't have to be hollow in the middle. This one is a PVC pipe with foam padding on the outside. Now, I've had this one for about 6 years now, and this thing is holding up quite well. So you can see there's no damage on it. Now, this one here runs at about just over $50, but you don't need this one. You can find something extremely similar that is basically going to give you the same result for about $20. I think it was just basically a name brand thing, but these pieces of product will give you great results, and you don't really have to go over that $20 price range to get a good product. What I will tell you is probably don't get something that's white, where the foam looks white and basically looks like it's the material of a pool noodle, because chances are that thing is just going to fall apart in a couple of weeks. We want to avoid that as much as possible. So the other piece of equipment I want to talk about, before I talk about this, I want to discuss a lacrosse ball. Lacrosse ball is going to jump right back into the same category as the foam roller. So you can use a lacrosse ball, baseball, softball, anything that's going to be small, that's going to be able to get into these tight little areas. So if you're talking about the upper chest, right near that junction of the shoulder, or we're talking about getting into the neck or the upper back, this is a really good tool. Very cheap. It's going to run you about $5. So adding this to this, and you're going to be getting basically what I think are the two most vital pieces of equipment that you can have in your home gym, in your arsenal, that's going to help you progress further as best as possible. The next piece of equipment is an elastic band. So these are not the elastic bands, not elastic tubing, so not that long straight one. Basically, these are thin, they're kind of flat tubings that's circular. It's basically like a small ring. When I stretch it out, it's no more than 7 to 8 inches in diameter. So anything that's going to be in that range, those are going to be great. You're going to want to get a variety of these different tensions, because based on what you're going to be using it for, you're going to want some variety so that you're not kind of overexerting on that one muscle and not able to perform the movement correctly. So this is a great piece of equipment. I use them a lot for warm-ups, but I also use them a lot for corrective exercises. And eventually a lot of those corrective exercises end up becoming just part of their warm-up. So you can check out, I put a YouTube clip up that's going to discuss I think it's 20 of the exercises. Yes, it is 20 of the exercises that I use that you can do with these elastics. Now, some of them are more advanced than others, but you can mess around with some of those and see what works best for you. So these are going to run you, if you get a pack, this specific one runs in a pack of 4. You can get packs of 5 depending on which brand, but they're basically all going to be the same thing. They're going to run you for an entire pack. It's probably going to be about $12 to $15. At the very most, you're going to be running up to that $20 range. So putting all 3 of these pieces up into that $50 price range. It depending on what piece of equipment you get, some of these price points may kind of overlap a bit, and that's okay. The piece of equipment you're going to want to get that's going to be as valuable as possible is going to be these 3, and you could make the argument for the next one. So it really depends on what direction you want to head in, but I like these. These are what gives me the most value. The next piece of equipment that's going to be discussed is going to fall into that $50 to $100 price range. So basically capping us off at $100. The piece of equipment is very commonly used in a lot of gyms, a lot of fitness centers. A lot of studios have them. Basically an exercise ball. So you're going to see those big round balls. I don't want to bring one on set right now. I thought it was going to be a little ridiculous if I was just standing here with a big inflated ball. But stability ball, yoga ball, exercise ball, they're termed with very different things, but they're all basically the same thing, and that's essentially just an inflated ball that you can do exercises on. I think that those pieces of equipment are really great. There's a couple of things you want to pay attention to when you are selecting them though. A is the size. You want to make sure that you don't go over 55 inches. Anything higher than that, and it's really just it's basically wasted space. It's not going to be useful, and you won't really won't really be able to do much with it. So you're going to want to stay in that 55. I like the 55. I think that's the best size. It fits the majority of people, and you won't be kind of going too big or too small. The other thing is you want to get something that says anti-burst on it. So make sure it says anti-burst so that you know that if ever you put too much weight on it, it's not going to explode. It's really going to have to be gashed to be able to pop. Now, when using these pieces of equipment, what I would tell you is make sure that you're comfortable using them, and you're always kind of aware that there's a chance that they may break on you. So be very careful not to leave them next to something that's like giving off a lot of heat. So let's say a radiator or a little heating panel. You want to make sure you keep them away from extreme heat because it may weaken off that elastic or that rubber and that kind of outer coating, and it could cause that wall to thin out and then burst. So avoid that at all costs. Keep it away from that heat. Put it in a nice normal area. Just keep it away from there and you should be fine. Obviously keep it away. It's a balloon, so keep it away from sharp objects. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we get a set of elastics. Now, the elastics I'm holding up here are basically the normal tubings, common tubings. They have 2 handles at the end. They have this mesh outer coating that kind of protects the outside layer, protects the inner layer, so it doesn't allow you to snap it if you bring it too far. It'll basically block you from going any further that would potentially risk breaking the elastic. So these are really good for safety. I think their durability is really high too. The elastic quality is pretty good. They should last you a couple of years. I've had these for about 2 or 3 years now, and these lasted quite a long time, and I use them fairly readily. These are probably going to be around the $10 to $20 range. You're going to want the $10 to $20 range depending on the tension you get. So I would tend to go a little bit kind of in that moderate range to higher, because anything in that low light tension range, you're going to be looking at that more for someone that's looking for something for therapy. So anything therapy related is going to be more in that lighter tension range. The reason we want to avoid that is it might be useful for us at the very beginning, but after a couple of weeks, you won't notice it and it's going to be a waste of money. So remember, ROI positive, we want to get a couple of these at that price range. So putting that with the ball is going to run you about $20. Each of these is about $10 to $20, $10 to $30. It may overlap with that first price point, but you're going to be able to put all of that together and come under $100 with relative ease. So these elastics are really good to help you kind of get some body weight. You can just slide them into a door. The handles are generally give you enough space. This one does. So you can tie this into a door, basically hang it into a door, shut the door, and it'll kind of restrict it and allow you to just basically pull on it, do some rows on it, rotational core exercises, pressing. You can slide it up and down in that door frame. So It's going to be great for versatility. You can also tie it around yourself and do like a push-up, add some resistance to your push-ups. So you can get really creative with these things. The last thing is the TRX. Now this is going to jump us up into a $300 price point. Now the reason I did that jump to $300 is simply because I feel that if you are at that $300 price range, it's going to give you the most value. And anything between that 100 to 300, I really haven't seen many things out there that are going to be worth the buy based on giving you the best bang for your buck. So TRX is what's really great about these is that because they're so popular, if you maintain the condition of this thing and basically don't just leave it in a puddle of water and let it rot and fall apart, you can unload this fairly easily. So I would recommend the TRX brand. The buckles and clips are extremely strong and they're going to help you with kind of avoiding that potential snap, break, and injury. That's what we want to avoid. Now, these things were made for the military, so they're fairly sturdy. You can basically tie these, they come with a door jamb, so you can kind of throw it over the door, shut it, and you can do some suspension training work where basically you're just kind of holding off and hanging off and using it. So a TRX, you can check out some clips on YouTube. I will be posting some stuff that might be interesting for you guys to see some examples of what you can do. The great thing about everything that I bought today but everything that I brought in today was simply because is really good because you can kind of bring it anywhere with you. It doesn't need to be at home. You can take all of this stuff to the park, use it at the park, and you'll have no problems. You can tie this around the tree or around the bar, around one of those beams at like a playground and get a great workout in. So a lot of people discuss why. A lot of people are probably wondering why I didn't discuss dumbbells. Not to get too deep into it, but I think dumbbells are great, but I think at a higher price point, they'd be great and useful because you need a variety. Anything under that, and you wouldn't really be able to fit in any of these other products, and you'd basically just be using dumbbells, which aren't going to be as effective on their own. So thank you very much for listening. That ends today's show, and please, guys, keep building that foundation.